Hello, everybody. Once again, this is Chris coming to you with another video. Today, we're going to be looking at a 2011 Volvo C30 T5. Why are we looking at a 2011 C30 Volvo T5? Here we go. One reason and one reason only. That right there. 6-speed manual transmission. So as a reminder, videos I'm going to be doing will be focusing on manual transmission vehicles as well as wagons. So with that in mind, I want to go ahead and give a shout out to Manual Elitist Jerks Facebook group. I will put a screenshot up there if you care to join. Once again, they hold the belief that all manual transmission vehicles are elite and automatic transmission vehicles are scum. I have been actually trying to get one of these Volvo C30s for a while. I like wagons, I like hatches. I actually like the styling of this. I know it's a little bit different for some with the hatchback, the way that it is styled. This one is actually going to be going to my nephew. He's coming to pick it up tomorrow. So I decided I'd go ahead and do a quick video of it today. This one came out of Maryland. It is a one-owner vehicle. Lots of fantastic service records. I want to go ahead and give a shout out to Scandinavian Import Service of Rockville, Maryland. That's who did most of the service to this vehicle over its lifetime. There's, I believe, 27, 28 service record entries on the Carfax report. They've done a great job maintaining this vehicle. I've had a few hatches, had a VR6 GTI, also a Mini Cooper Clubman, which kind of is more wagony. And so I really wanted to drive one of these just to see what it was like and kind of do a little bit of a comparison. This does have some miles on it. I think 203, we'll look at that when we get inside. I don't care anything about mileage if I can verify the service history, and this one has been serviced very well. A couple other things that I look at once the car arrives that excite me. I like it when they have matching tires. So it looks like this one has matching Michelins all the way around. As I'm going around, I'll show you some of the blemishes. Looks like some scrapes down here on the front bumper. It's first time I've seen screw-ons for the license plates. I thought that was pretty interesting. This would be a Scandinavian thing. Then all matching Michelins. Second thing that I usually get excited about is keys. If it has more than one key, that usually excites me. This one does have two keys. Unfortunately, one of them is broken. It's taped up, so this little plastic piece right here is broken off, but I believe you can get that casing online. The last thing that I like is when I go in here and I see an owner's manual. It may seem silly to some, but those are the three things that I really love when a car arrives. 2 keys, matching tires, owner's manual. Those things I all like. So the Volvo C30 got its styling from an older model Volvo, the P1800, with this big back window hatch type style. This is a really, really fun car to drive. If I were to compare it to my Mini Cooper or the VR6 Volvo, I would probably rank it third. And I think it has most to do with the turbos. The VR6 was a naturally aspirated V6 engine, and just something about the natural aspiration driving experience, in my opinion, is just more pure. This does have more horsepower than the Mini Cooper. Mini Cooper has 181, the turbo one, the Mini Cooper S. This has 217. The VR6 GTI has 200. Again, I don't clean these cars up before I do these videos. This one has some wear on the driver's seat. Whoever owned this car had a dog. You can see some of the hairs around. Nephew will have to do some cleaning to the seats and so forth. But it's not funky in here like it is sometimes when you get dogs. I thought this was interesting. There was no cup holders, but I'll talk about that again a little bit later. I went to go pop the hood, and I'm looking all around here like, where's the hood? Where's the hood? Release, have no idea. That joker's way up underneath here, that red thing. So that's how you release the hood in here. While I'm down here, I went to go put gas in it, and I'm looking all over like, where's the gas lever? Well, that happens to be up here. So Volvo does some different things, but it's all good. Got it all figured out. So this is a turbo, if I can get the hood open, turbo 5-cylinder engine. It is, all right, I was just looking at whatever this sticker is. Something took place at 120,000 miles. I don't know if this has a belt or a chain, but it runs really well. I've driven it about maybe 300-400 miles. I've put about that much on it. Very, very smooth. Clutch is extremely springy. I will say that. Very springy clutch. You kind of got to use like the ball of your foot, toes, and keep it that way because it's very, very springy. Small car, doesn't have a ton of space, but this rear cargo area does open up and has this cover here, and you can just kind of push that down, take these off, push it down. You can see more dog hair back here, and there's the cup holder. I found that back here, so I guess this is just an insert that goes into the front there for the cup holders. These seats do fold down to give you a little bit more room. Of course, that seat is back because I'm a big guy, so it's not going all the way down, but the seats do fold down to give you some additional cargo space. Not much else going on back here. There is a floor mat back here. And see if I like to look back here where the spare tire is just to see if there's any wetness, moisture, corrosion, anything like that. Don't see any. Does not appear as though this spare has ever been on the ground. So I want to take a look at a couple of things inside. To me, this car is ergonomically strange. The way that the controls are in here, I guess I'm just not used to it. The key also, where you put it in up here next to the stalk, is not the most intuitive design because you always hit the stalk. It does not have keyless entry, or keyless start rather. It does. You have to stick the key in. It has several controls here for telephone and all of the HVAC controls. It's a different setup than what I'm used to. Previous owner had this thing here for the telephone. Out of all of the vehicles I've ever owned in my life, this is the first one that has a blind spot monitoring system, and I believe it's called this BLIS. You can turn it on and off. So that little light lights up when something is in your blind spot. I have noticed on the passenger side it kind of does its own thing and is not always accurate. The driver's side seems to be fine, but again, you can turn it off. 203,000 miles. Again, runs beautifully, fires right up, no lights on the dash. Very fun to drive vehicle. We'll take a spin here shortly. Air conditioning works. All of the steering wheel controls and everything work for the radio. Just no frills, good fun driving vehicle. So we'll go ahead and take it for a spin, and I'll share a few more thoughts here shortly. All right, hopefully the camera angle is good enough to go. I'm gonna go for a quick little drive, and I'll share a few more of my thoughts with you. Earlier I was talking about some of the different kind of hot type hatches that I've had. Mini Cooper, Clubman S, and the VR6 GTI. And, turbos are the way of the world now. Forced injection, fuel economy, get more power out of smaller displacement engines. But I still say that good pure feeling comes from a naturally aspirated vehicle. So I have a 2010 BMW 535 twin turbo wagon, 6-speed manual, and it is an absolute blast to drive. It's in the shop right now because N54, but it really is a nice vehicle to drive. It's fast, it's not a lot of turbo lag. But then I drove a friend of mine's M5, and while my car is faster than the M5, this is the E39 M5, it still did not feel as pure, and it's strictly because the M5 is naturally aspirated and my car has turbos. Same way I felt about the VR6 GTI 2003, 200 horsepower and a V6. It also maybe is not a fair comparison because you're talking a V6 versus a 4-cylinder in the Mini Cooper and this 5-cylinder in the Volvo. I mentioned earlier the clutch is a little springy, but this small little short shifter is an absolute delight. Big guy score, haven't done that. I would give this one a good 7.5. It's comfortable. It may look like it's tight, but it's comfortable in here. It feels good. Not a lot of issues with space. Very, very smooth acceleration. This is the first 5-cylinder that I can say that I have driven. Usually 4s or 6s. And it feels like it sits right in the middle of that range. A little bit more horsepower, obviously, than the Mini Cooper I mentioned earlier at 181. This turbo 5-cylinder is pretty delightful in my opinion. I'm glad I got it. Mentioned earlier that this one is going to be going to my nephew. As a matter of fact, he's coming to get it tomorrow. And hopefully he will enjoy it. And if not, then we'll find him something else. One of the other things I wanted to just talk about quickly is, you don't have to spend a ton of money to get a good car. By the time it's all said and done, this is about a $3,500 car. Yeah, it has some miles on it, but it's a one owner, good verifiable service history, runs and drives good, matching tires, 2 keys, owner's manual, which, may not mean much to some, but I enjoy it. You just don't have to spend a lot of money. I mean, if you want a good manual transmission vehicle that's, after its midlife crises, is how I like to put it, when vehicles go through all of the stuff that they go through. It's to me, it's always better to have something with more miles that's been well maintained than less miles and has been sitting around. People think I'm crazy when I say I prefer to have a 5-year-old car with 150,000 miles instead of a 5-year-old car with 50,000 miles. Again, if you can verify the service history. So we'll go ahead and leave it at that for now. I'm not going to go out to the highway because actually I just don't have time right now. But yeah, this thing is very brisk with acceleration. Very, very fun to drive. I'm already 15 miles over the speed limit, so let me calm down. And maybe this video will help you decide to get into a nice, inexpensive C30 T5 one day. So that is all. We'll go ahead and cut it here. Appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next time. Did want to see if I could capture yeah, you see that? There's nothing next to me, and that light is on. Absolutely nothing is next to me. Now it is, but I mean, there was nothing over there. I did want to just try to see if I could capture this blind spot monitoring on my way back home. might not be able to catch up to traffic enough to get this one to register, but that one, here we go again. Like, it was just on a second ago. There's nothing over there. This one seems to work fine though, but thankfully you can turn that whole contraption off down here. I also mentioned that I didn't really have time to get on the highway right now, and I don't, but a couple hundred of the several hundred miles I've driven this was actually going up to Richmond, and I mean, it performed flawlessly. I mean, it was perfectly fine to drive, comfortable, no issues whatsoever, smooth. And I just filled it up in preparation for my nephew picking it up, and looks like I got right at 28.5 miles per gallon for since the last fill up. So not bad at all. And I have not been babying this thing. I've been driving it like it's stolen. So that was the last thing I wanted to say about that. I'm gonna try to slow down as I turn into my neighborhood here and see if this blind spot thing goes off with this car coming. And it did. There you go. Have a good one.